Hello everybody, it's Calxiyn here, and if you guys enjoyed this video, remember that you guys should become patrons over on Patreon or join our Discord server. Yay! Okay, so today we are talking about how Raven killed herself. So that's a really weird title, I'm sorry.
I saw you wrote that down earlier, and I was going to bring it up in another video. Like, what are you smoking?
So I want to talk about...
So I'm going to ask you now, Cal,
I want to talk about this Raven quote, because a couple people misunderstand that it's talking about Summer Rose, or that it's talking about Vernal, but she's talking about herself in this quote. Or I should say this Yang quote about Raven. So let me read you the quote. I only know the Raven Dad told me about. She was troubled and complicated, but she fought for what she believed in, whether it was her team or her tribe. Did you kill her too? So that reference isn't towards Summer Rose, and it's not towards Vernal either. It's about if Raven killed the last version of herself, the best version of herself, as Yang sees it, right? That if Raven... this new Raven killed the old Raven.
Do people know what metaphors are?
No.
No, they don't.
Because a lot of people thought it was, like, about Vernal, and I was kind of on board with the Vernal thing for a minute.
If she, like, motioned over to the corpse in the corner, like, kill her too, then yeah, okay, maybe.
But upon, like, reanalysis of the statement, basically, because that was my initial thought, because we were kind of caught up in the moment, right? We were doing a reaction. I wasn't thinking about it too much. But when people were like, "Oh, that's about Summer Rose," the easy like way to get out of it was like, no, they're talking about Vernal. Her body's right there. Like, even if I didn't necessarily think that was the correct answer, I was like, I just gotta shut these people up for like a second before I can figure it out. You understand what I mean? But I think that line is clear that Yang, and what makes it so powerful is that Yang is talking about if Raven like destroyed that part of herself that Tai Yang told Yang about. Right? It's not about Vernal. It's not about Summer Rose. That really bothers me. Like, everything is about Summer Rose. Like, the Summer Rose, like, fan... I don't even know how there are fan people for Summer. Because she's not even... But whatever. Like, this is almost as bad as the Jean theories. Like, y'all gotta calm down, okay? So, like, this is sort of, like, the same thing. You know, in a sense, like, it's about, like, it's not about Summer, you know, it's about Raven, and if Raven gave that part of herself away and, like, had to just, like, destroy that part of herself, that, you know, she used to have, like, maybe the only part that Yang thought was redeemable about her mother, because Tai seems to have given, like, glowing reviews about Raven, right, but now Yang sees Raven in the flesh, and she knows not maybe that her father was lying, but that he was trying to give her an idealistic picture of Raven, so Yang wouldn't necessarily feel the need to go find her, if that makes sense. Like, he tried to make her, like, the most pleasing image possible so Yang wouldn't be curious, because Yang would be like, yeah, I know my mom, sort of thing. But she went to look for her anyway, and when she found her, was disappointed. Like, I feel like that's why Tai does try to get Yang to not look for her, is because Yang will be disappointed that the image that the Raven that Tai Yang knew isn't the same anymore, and so I feel like that line is really powerful.
Heard about her mother
yeah, exactly.
No longer be applicable.
Yeah, exactly, and so that's what I feel, and so, yeah, I just wanted to clear this up, because a lot of people were super confused about this line, and I was like, are y'all okay?
So when you wrote down, Raven kills herself, it's a metaphorical suicide,
yeah, it's about this line, and so did you kill her too? Like, that the Raven that her dad told her about is a completely different person, almost. You know what I mean? That she is so different from this Raven, it's almost like, you know, Raven killed the previous Raven and then just got her powers, right? Since we are talking about the idea of the Spring Maiden powers and how they eventually leave you, it's almost like if the true Raven had died and this Raven just kind of stood in her place. You know what I mean? Like, it's a strong metaphor, and so I'm very upset that people have misunderstood it, if that makes sense. Because I feel like when you're like, oh, Yang's talking about Vernal, like, that gives it an entirely different meaning, because if Yang assumes that Raven killed Vernal, it's saying that that Raven is so ruthless and heartless now that she killed Vernal intentionally because she doesn't care about anyone. Like, that gives a very different meaning to the sentence in that context. Yes. And so, instead of it being about really that the old Raven, you know, maybe Yang doesn't necessarily think she's still in there somewhere, but Yang is trying to remind her of what happened to the old Raven that Tai said. You know, it's less confrontational than being like, oh, well, did you kill Vernal too? Because you just, you know, you don't care about anyone, right? You know what I mean? That's two very different sentences. And so I feel like it drives away the original meaning when people assume that it's about Vernal. And the same thing can be said about Summer. If people assume that that line is about Summer Rose, it's a lot more like, oh, you know, like, saying that, you know, but this new Raven is, like, ruthless and doesn't care about other people. Like, did you kill Summer? Like, did you kill Summer? Like, is that, you know, you killed the other Spring Maiden, like, you're, like, sort of a ruthless murderer, you want to say. So did you kill Summer Rose? You know what I mean? And I feel like if it was about Summer, she would be way more upset, because she would basically be saying that Raven killed the person she feels like is her actual mom, right? And so that doesn't make any sense. And so, like, context clues, listen to things over again. Like, again, I'll admit that I thought it was about Vernal too, but that was upon my first viewing sort of thing.
I think I was
you know
immediately
what I mean?
aware that she was referring to her past self.
Yeah. Because, like, I was just kind of caught up in what was going on, right? But, like, when you want to say, I guess, that it's about, like, Summer, or you want to say that, like, about Vernal, I can understand, I'll give you a pass, but if you want to say that that is evidence that, like, Raven killed Summer Rose, then I assume that you listened to it more than once, and so on your second or third time, you would understand that that's not the intention. Does that make sense? Yes. Is that, like, for your first time, I can pretty much excuse that, because I did that my first time, too. I also thought it was about Vernal. But, like, if you're trying to build a theory, watch it more than once, and on your second and third time, you'll kind of understand that that's not exactly the meaning within the text, I think. And I don't want to say that that sounds elitist, because I don't think that it does necessarily. Like, I don't want to say elitist, but, like, this interpretation is the only interpretation, and you will bow to my metaphors or die, you know what I mean? Like, if that makes sense, right? Like, that it's a, sort of, like, I don't want to say, like, people, like, bring up the idea of death of the author, and the author's original intention doesn't matter, if the readers take it and interpret it differently. And I agree with that in some cases, but this isn't the case. You know what I mean? That this is, like, this isn't something that can be interpreted in multiple ways. It's that it needs to be interpreted in this way for it to make sense.
Not all interpretations are equal.
Yeah.
You could argue.
And I think that's a fair point. Like, even not all of our interpretations are the best ones either. Like, there is probably the best out there somewhere. But yeah, it's just like, I feel like Vernal is like a middle. Like, it's an okay interpretation, but it's not necessarily what the writer had intended. But Summer is like the worst one that I've seen so far, if I have to be honest. No offense to anybody that thought that. I don't want to make anyone feel bad for thinking that.
I
like,
do.
Oh, okay.
Cry.
Oh, God. Alright. Like, I'm not saying that it's a horrible idea and you should feel bad. I'm just saying that that's not what it's supposed to be for. Like, not everything should be about some random person that hasn't even been introduced in the story, like, formally, if you want to put it that way. You know what I mean? Like, the only, like, place where we've really heard Summer Rose's thoughts is the song, and people call into question the validity of the music all the time, so I don't want to hear about it. You know what I mean? But yeah, I just wanted to talk about that, because I think it's really deep, and I think it would be nice if people appreciated the depth that it's given to Yang's character, and Raven's character, and just the like, I want people to appreciate the writing team when they do a good job, and I think this is a good thing. I really like metaphors, if you guys didn't know. Like, I'm a metaphor machine. I don't always make great ones, but I really do enjoy them when someone else writes them down.
I'm a metaphor machine.
I'm a metaphor machine. Anyways.
2018.
And so I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, remember that you guys should join our Discord server. Become patrons over on Patreon.
Or can we rename the Discord server Metaphor Machine?
No, we can't do that. That's silly.
It's still Cow Pals, right?
Yeah, it's still Cow Pals. My face is the thumbnail.
Yeah, you're just.
Maybe we can do a Hunter Appreciation Month, and I'll put it as your face.
Don't do a Hunter. I'm not like Black History. I don't deserve a month. It's okay.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Anyway, yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I don't know what to say to that. That's the thing.
That's the most proud I've been about anything I've ever said on this entire. Actually, fuck you. I do deserve a month. I should get a month.
Should you? Do you want one?
No, I don't.
Okay.
God, I'm not. That would hurt. That would hurt.
Well, Bumblebee had a month a while ago, or was it a week? Like it was Bumblebee.
Oh, Bumblebee week. That's always like on Tumblr.
Do you want a week?
I am good with
would a week make you feel better?
I'm good with like a 5-minute people beat. I'm good
with.
I'm good with just being around, really.
All right. Anyways, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Again, Patreon, Discord. I'm sorry. Anyway, we will see you all later. Bye, guys.